Well,
that was for you.
well,
I was bringing you back to the zen.
I wanted to go sleep now.
Oh, I see, but you're relaxed.
Yeah,
See?
yeah.
So it's a zen
How
moment for
how
you.
you doing, man? Good to talk to you again. I haven't talked to
Hey,
you since your
man.
birthday.
Good to talk to you, man.
Happy birthday to you, son.
Hey, thank you very much. Well,
let's do this. We got a Tuesday night. And Shane
Whoa.
Matthews is usually on Mondays. He was in an event last night at Spurs. It was quite a spectacular event. He'll tell you about that. We'll hear from him, and we'll hear from Coach Spurrier via a recording earlier today, if all goes well. And then Lauren Menace tonight. So, yes, that's absolutely. True. So, let's do this.
All right. Hey, by the way, if you're watching tonight on YouTube, make sure you smash the subscribe button. Buddy always forgets to tell you this now that I have to come around. Hit the subscribe button in the bottom right to continue to let us bring you this content for free and clear because it helps somehow. So here we go.
It's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Evening and welcome.
How are you?
Here's a man. I was on the radio with him this morning. It's good to see him again. He's in red tonight, and he was out partying last night, Brendan. He's hobnobbing with the big guys over at Spurrier's. Although I understand he didn't go to Visors and close it down. He went to bed early like a good boy last night and got plenty of sleep, right, Shane?
That's very true, buddy. We had a good night.
Yeah. Brendan, we talked earlier on Shane's show about what an event it was last night. Lauren Meadows was there. He'll be along later tonight. And it's really, really good to have a thing like Steve Spurrier's and Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in town where there are activities, things going on, stuff happen. And then I could sense just talking to Lauren and then talking to also to Shane that this thing's picked up a bit in the third year. And looks like this is going to be a real deal. And I congratulate Coach Spurrier. We'll have that interview later, hopefully. Shane, how was it there last night?
It was a nice event, buddy. You know, year three, it's grown leaps and bounds since the first year. You know, they've added a couple extra awards now, but the support that the sponsors and the community have done for this event. You know, kudos to Chris Doring and his right-hand lady, Trish Garzon, that handles all the advertising. She was the one responsible for the whole event. But it was first class. And, they're going to make it bigger and better next year.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I understand that as talking to Coach Spurrier, which we'll have a tape on later, as you said, the guy who won the coaching award this year, the first year coaching award, was impressive. And Coach Spurrier said there are a couple of East Tennessee boys talking last night. How about the winner this year? He made some noise already, and at Liberty this year, and looks like the real deal, Shane.
Yeah, Jamie Chadwell, he's a young guy. He's 47 years old. Had a lot of success at Coastal Carolina, and took over for Hugh Freeze, and they went 13-1. They were 13-0 in the regular season, lost to Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl. But he's a young and upcoming coach. Has that little swagger about him. Not afraid to throw some jabs at people. It was nice to meet him. I talked to him for a while. I like him a lot. I don't know how long he'll be at Liberty, but he loves it at Liberty. They have the facilities of some of the top Power 5 schools in America. So we'll see if he ever moves on to a bigger and better job.
Our favorite quarterback, Shane Matthews, as he is others, talking about Always glad to see him and hear him and talking football with Shane as we do every week. Glad to have him on the show. Uh, well, we all wanted change, and it looks like since I've talked to you this morning, there's been other changes on the coaching staff. Brendan and I have been talking about it a lot, and now, of course, we know about the coaching changes, the offensive co-offensive coordinator. Talk about that, Shane, about what you think is going to happen there with Callaway and how much of a plus he'll be. Will it make any difference in what Billy Napier does in his offensive game plan and his play calling?
Well, Russ was on the staff. I mean, he helped call plays last year, or had input, I should say. So the offensive coordinator is Rob Sale. The co-offensive coordinator is Russ Callaway, but the guy that's going to call the plays is the head coach, Billy Napier. I think you'll see the same type of offense you've been seeing, and it's been successful. The biggest thing is we need more explosive down the field plays. So as I've stated multiple times,
yes, you have.
Two deep balls a quarter means 8 deep balls. If you hit 2 of them or you get pass interference, it changes the outcome of a game possibly. So you don't just do 2. You could actually throw 3 or 4 quarter. I'm good with that. But again, I'm in the minority when I'm all summer long, or not all season, not summer, but I'm not concerned about the offense. I think we're loaded at the running back position. I think we're fine at quarterback. I think we got plenty of playmakers on the outside. We'll see if the offensive line improves. I think it will. I'm hoping it will. But this all goes back to, for the Gators to win and be competitive and play the way we want to play, we got to tackle and rush the passer.
Yeah. As you say, it doesn't make any difference if the defense can stop anybody. Now they got a new executive head coach on defense. There's a different title for you. What difference will that make, Shane?
Well, I think Roberts, who's been around the SEC quite a bit, old guy, knows what Austin Armstrong wants to do defensively. I think anytime you got a veteran guy who's coached a long time with a young guy, he can help him. But the bottom line is, like I said, we don't have to actually stop people. Let's just slow them down a little bit. I mean, we couldn't slow anybody down last year. Historical numbers. I think people forget that. Historical numbers, not in a good way on defense last year.
Yeah. There has been some activity, Shane, going on. Billy has obviously making changes. You wonder why he's been so silent about it. He doesn't talk about it. It kind of just sort of wiggles out and becomes somebody drops in, and one day this might happen, and then it gets around to announcing it. Today was one that went a little bit in reverse. Now, we've had changes. We've had new people added. Now today, they lost a guy. I don't know much about him. Perhaps you can tell me. Joe Hamilton, NFL liaison and recruiting and scouting relations, whatever that means. Promoted to the role of director of scouting after changing roles. And then he's a native of Thomasville, Texas, and returned back to home state. So Hamilton joined Florida staff as a personnel analyst for the defense in December 2021. He made his way to the Swamp after 3 seasons with Napier and Louisiana in the role of quality control player personnel recruiting. I can't keep up with all these guys. Shane, can you help me out?
The guy just took another job. What was it, A&M? I mean, it's not that big a deal. Again, buddy, it's just like we've talked many times. When you're working at the Denver Post and the New York Times wanted to offer you more money, you're
New York Daily News. Please don't say Times.
Okay, whatever it is. You're going to think about it, and you're probably going to move because you're getting paid better. And I'm sure that has something to do with it. That's usually why people change jobs. I don't lose any sleep over any of this stuff. I don't even really care about it. All that matters is going out, playing hard on Saturdays, and trying to win football games. A lot of this stuff that happens in the offseason has nothing to do with that.
Well, let's see how they did. He's got a defensive guy. He made some changes over there, obviously. He's tweaking his offensive staff, and now he's got this new Arkansas offensive coordinator, formerly Dan Enos, was announced today, was added as an off-field role. So there's some more firepower. He went into Arkansas with pretty high expectations and didn't do well and got fired, I think, during the middle of the season, didn't he?
Yeah, Dan Enos has been coaching college ball for a long time. Been around. Again, this is an off the field position. Does not have anything to do with the football team. It just baffles me why all these colleges, including ours, our school, have to have all these off the field analysts. I just don't get it. Maybe that's the next time you talk to Coach Spur. Ask him what he thinks about that. He didn't have any in his coaching career. Think about that, buddy. He had not one analyst at Florida or South Carolina.
Yeah, they're all coaches.
Yeah, you get your 10 coaches, you go coach ball. You can have 5 or 6 analysts in today's world. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But these 20 to 30 to 40 of them, I don't get it. So if Dan Enos can help us win by breaking down tape or making suggestions, that's great.
Yeah. So speaking of which, this is off the subject, but I noticed last night watching the basketball games, various basketball games, I started to count the number of assistants on the bench. And they've got, used to have what, 3? Usually 3. Billy had 3. I counted 10 guys in assistants' shirts on the bench for every basketball coach. I mean, where does this all go to? I mean, no wonder things cost so much. You have a coach for shoelaces and a coach for diets and a coach for everything. And it seems like you're just bloated with people. And frankly, I don't know what they do, Shane.
Well, it's this is just my thought process on it. A lot like the Nick Saban, you always heard your opponent, their coaches stayed and slept in the meeting, the coaches' offices, never went home. So that means everybody's got to do that, right? That's what people think. If they're going to stay there all night, we got to stay there all night.
Yeah, can't let them get ahead. Don't get ahead of us.
If they have to have 35 analysts, we have to have 35 analysts. I don't believe in that. Maybe because the guy I played for didn't believe in that kind of stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of waste going on here, but I can't prove that. It just feels like there's a lot of money being spent. I'm not sure you're getting the return on your dollar for it. But that's just me. What do I know?
Well, that's true. And again, we don't know what Dan Enos is being paid by the University of Florida. Remember, I'm sure he got paid pretty well getting fired as an OC of a Southeastern Conference team.
Yeah.
Most analysts aren't making a lot of money because they're getting paid by a former institution for being fired.
Right. Yeah, while we're waiting to get Coach Spurrier teed up, let's talk a little bit about basketball. We had a conversation this morning. Brendan, feel free to join in. By the way, latest Joe Lunardi has Florida as a 6th seed, playing 11th seed Indiana State in Pittsburgh. That's the latest bracketology he's got going on. But this basketball team, Shane, we talked about this morning, it's getting really interesting. And I really like this team, and you do too. And there's a lot I like about this team, not just one or two things. People talk about their guards as they should, because the guys they got in Clayton and Pullen are really two of the very best. And as a pair, they're very, very hard to beat. They do everything you need for guards in a tournament like this. But I got to brag on the bigs too, Shane. I like the way these guys play.
Oh, there's no question. I think this team's going to go deep in the tournament due to the 2 guards. And Will Richard is the key. When he's knocking down shots, this team can go a long ways. I like this team a lot. I just saw one of the greatest endings in college basketball, buddy, when you started your show, Kentucky and Mississippi State. Reed Shepherd hit a game winner. He had 32, true freshman.
Are you kidding me? They won that game. I was watching it. Wow.
Yeah, they came back from like 15 down. And then Josh Hubbard, another true freshman from Mississippi State, he had 34. So I think the 3 best true freshmen in America were in that game, 2 for Kentucky and 1 for Mississippi State. It was an unbelievable basketball game.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's getting to be some good ball out there right now. I'll tell you, there's a lot of stuff happening. And I don't know. I got to mention these guys because I love their names. I love the fact that they're so productive and they play with a lot of hustle. I can get behind a team that really gives a lot. And this basketball team gives a lot. their effort is great. Rebounding and defense is mostly about, as we know, is about effort, right? And when you're rebounding, and especially offensive boards, and you're getting rebounds, you're playing D. That means you're having an effort, and effort's what I like about it. So, in looking at watching these games, I came up with a kind of a new name. Let me find my list here for the bigs. They got four guys that I think are difference makers. They all play with such abandon, and they really hit the glass. And so I thought, well, let's give a name, and I call them in your show this morning the smash and grabbers, because they go to the glass like crazy, and they play with a lot of effort and whatever. So I'm talking about the big guys, and some of them are young and some of them are not. But I think what's going to happen is people know the guards are good. Obviously, they're going to be needed, and they're going to be a lot of pub. But the guys that maybe they're going to learn about in the game when they get their brains beat in are these guys who play hard and who are, we know Clayton and Pullen are fantastic, but Samuels, Handgloden, Condon, and Hoff. By the way, it sounds like a law firm.
It does.
Yeah, you got four guys that are really athletic, can get around. They do a little something very well that helps this ball club, but they play hard. And, they only get X amount of minutes, so you're going to get full effort there. So, like I said, I love the makeup of the team. Now, in March Madness, anything can happen. But with our two guards and the way Will Richards shoots the basketball, I'll be shocked if we don't make a deep run.
Yeah, you're going
like 8. How far? I mean, come on.
Oh, I think they're definitely a Sweet 16 team. Could easily be an Elite 8. I mean, I've talked to some buddies of mine that are diehard college basketball people that watch everybody, and I mean, Florida can make the Final Four. There's about 20 teams that probably can, and you got to see how you match up depending on the bracket, who else is there, and what regions you go to, things of that nature. But this team's good enough to get to the Final Four.
I think you're right. I agree with you. And they're emerging, first of all, at the right time. And we've not seen the best basketball out of them yet. They've done this, but just learning how to close games, they still are struggling with that. They had
here's what they've done well, buddy, is they've played well on the road. They're playing in probably the most difficult conference in all of basketball. When you look at I firmly believe, this is just my opinion, the two best teams that have a chance to make a deep run is Tennessee, because they have length, they have great guard play, and they have a tremendous scorer. And then the Gators, because of how we play on the road with our guards. When you look at Auburn and you look at Alabama, they don't have a whole lot of height, and they play well at home, but they do struggle at times on the road, and they struggle scoring. And then Kentucky is the X factor. They have everything you possibly need in a college basketball team. They're a scary team too that could go deep.
I wouldn't want to play Florida right now. And I know it sounds like homer talk, but you're right. Other people are all calling the shot now, and they are emerging at just the right time. I love watching them. They're fun to watch, and he's done a terrific job with them. Shane, back to the event last night just for a second. I asked this question of Coach Spurrier, and it's coming up in the interview. If you were looking for a coach, I said, Florida needed a coach to replace Billy. Was he a guy? Would this guy be able to count? Well, first of all, Steve wouldn't embrace the idea that anybody should replace Billy. I said, well, what if he was great and he got hired in the NFL, or he left? My point being, Jamie Chadwell looks like he's got all the markings of a future star as a coach, in my opinion. And I know you were with him last night. I heard him talk. You said he was snapping off some one-liners about Florida State, which made you happy. But tell me your assessment of that. You had not met Chadwell before, right?
No, I never met him. I mean, obviously, I knew about him. I've watched him coach. He went to Charleston Southern, from there to Coastal Carolina, and now at Liberty. Now it's all small type college football, but But I think I think a big time school will come after him eventually. But again, like I said, it's got to be the right place because Liberty has tons of money and they have the facilities that Power 5 schools have. So, yeah, he's a star in the making, if not already a star. And I'm sure he's on the short list of a lot of athletic directors.
I don't know. I saw his team play several times at Coastal Carolina, and I was impressed then with how they played. Didn't even know who Chadwell was or who was coaching, but they just played well. And I didn't see the Liberty team play this year. Obviously, they played pretty well. They went undefeated and lost to Oregon. And what was that line?
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
that's right.
There's a lot of people in this the South Carolina, University of South Carolina. You know, I know they like Shane Beamer, but Jamie's been, like I just said, at Charleston Southern. He's been at Coastal. They're that's the kind of school I think that is looking to bring in a Jamie Chadwell at some point.
What about Zabo if he retires in Clemson?
That's another possibility. Yeah, I don't know why he retired. He's about my age.
But right now, the coaches you just don't know. You didn't think Nick was going to retire either, but he did. It's just hard. Some of this stuff's wearing on these coaches, Shane, as you know.
It is. Yes,
and
it is.
Some of them are just going to say, "Oh, the hell with it," and say, "I can go do something else," and take their money and run. So we'll see. But some comments tonight. Nathaniel Rogers-Perry wasn't known for his recruiting, known for his one-liners and offense. Now, he got some pretty good players there. Let's just not discount him, Shane.
Who?
Spurrier. He got some pretty good players at Florida. I mean, especially after you left, and he had some good classes. He wasn't a heavy-duty recruiter. It wasn't something he excelled in, but he got good players.
He put so many people in the NFL. It's ridiculous. I mean, go look at his teams from 90 for the 12 years. He put so many damn players in the NFL. If you do that, you got good players.
Yeah, I agree with it. So last night set the scene. Brendan, we had the video ready to roll, Coach Spurrier?
Almost. We got to. I had to work some magic, but just give it a few seconds.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay,
we can do that. Yeah, that's fine. We know how to do that. We had a good conversation this morning about legacies and how hard it was for some people to get into schools, and how the fact that many families who have been 3 and 4 generation Gators with kids who have got fantastic grades and ACTs and whatever else they take these days cannot get in Florida. And you've said you talk to guys all the time who say, the hell with them. I'm not giving them another nickel of my money because my kid can't get into school. He's got a 4.5 and whatever, 35 on the ACT and whatever. And I can't, he's letting these other kids in. And I understand that. And I wish there was a way that could embrace that another way, Shane. Yeah, especially
but neither one of my kids got accepted.
Yeah.
The only reason my son got in was because he was a preferred walk-on. Right. But he had over 30-something on the ACT, over a 4-point whatever on the Cambridge academic program, which is above IB. Wow. My daughter was the same way. Both of them got denied. It's ridiculous. Wow. I try not to be opinionated or say bad things, but it's totally ridiculous what they're doing over there.
Yeah, a lot of kids go to Santa Fe and go in 2 years and get in. Some can't even do that. And some go to Ocala, CF, and they go in. Tell you the truth, I think today the best route is to go and try to get that juke. If you're not an athlete, to get a JUCO a couple of years and then try to get in. But anyway, I hate to see that because you pointed out this morning, these families go up there and tailgate, support, go to homecoming, go to parades, support the basketball team, the baseball team, whatever. And their kids, their time comes and they say, sorry, we don't have room for you. Well, what's happened to all the scholarships? Where'd they go?
Well, it's the kids that are being accepted now are tremendous. Nothing against those kids, but majority of them have no affiliation to the University of Florida. They're extremely bright, and that's what the school is looking for today, for whatever reason. I think it really hurts athletics. Student section hadn't been the same in 20 years because a lot of the kids that are in that student section, they're just there just to be there. They didn't grow up coming to games their whole life. That's just my feeling on it. I hope something changes. I think something needs to change dramatically, but we'll see.
Yeah, it is. By the way, switching notes, did you see that baseball score? Georgia Tech at one point, this kid Drew Burris, had 9. Had 4 home runs today. 4 home runs today. Yes, Georgia Tech had. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. So we haven't gotten into baseball. Have you watched any baseball so far, Shane?
I haven't. I'll go once they play. I guess I sound like the Gator football fans. I don't want to go watch them play Columbia. I'll wait till Miami or FSU or SEC team rolls into town.
March 13th, FSU. By the way, David Baldoff just mentioned that Florida's behind Stetson, 5-4 in the bottom of the 8th. So not good for Sully's team.
But it doesn't. Like I said, I had Steve Russell, who probably is calling the game right now.
A lot of baseball, yeah.
On last week, he's like, look, none of these games matter. The only games that matter in baseball is Florida and Florida State and the Miami series out of conference and just your SEC games. None of these midweek games mean a thing, and it will not be held against you.
Speaking of Florida State, condolences to the Seminole family. Mike Martin passed here a couple of weeks ago. I guess he'd been in the hospice a bit before, and he's been a long-time rival of Florida and a guy who did a lot of great things with the Florida State program. Talking to Coach Spurrier tonight about guys like that. Mark Richt. We talked about what a nice guy Mark Richt was and what a good coach he was. And he had kind of a bad draw in terms of, whatever the situations he got into. He was at Bobby's side for so many years. He was well thought of. He got to Georgia and then Miami, and he won, but not enough. And they brought the right guy into the program. So we talked about the fact that Mark Richt was a class guy. He conducted himself in the right kind of way. And when I've seen this happen before with old rivals. When they get older, they look back and think, you know what? This was a pretty good dude. He was not the evil one that we wanted to be.
I don't think he ever had a losing record as a head coach. Had a lot of success at Georgia, quite honestly. I think he won 9 games a year. He got fired, or 9 or 10, bring Kirby in. He recruited me at Florida State. I think he's first class. I think he's an outstanding man. And he had a great run as a head coach.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's see. Basketball, they play Missouri, I guess, coming up tomorrow night. Missouri has not won a league game this year, so it looks like they'll get another W. But that'll put them at 20, won't it? 20 wins? I think it will.
Yeah, Missouri's a scary game, though, because Mike Morgan pointed out today they've been in pretty much all their games. They'll play hard for 34, 36 minutes. They'll have the lead or it'll be a close game. In the last 3 or 4 minutes, they lose it. So, that team went to the NCAA tournament last year in Dennis Gates' first year. So, I think we'll win, but, basketball's crazy. Anything can happen in these games.
You got any teams chalked out for your, for ones that you want to see do well? We'll come back to that later. Let me take a little break here and tell you about our sponsors who have been with us for a long time. It's Meldon Law. They do so many good things for the program. Giving away tickets all the time, sponsoring their sponsor for Gator Athletics. They, of course, all about Jeffrey, who's a local personality, and the guy does a lot of good things for Meldon Law. Will give you, by the way, if you need another review of your case and you've got something out there shining that you need to have taken care of, and you're not satisfied with what you got, call Meldon Law. They'll give you a second opinion and say, yeah, you should look into this, or this is something that you should. I've done that myself and had some help from them. So Meldon Law, of course, they're known for their loyalty to the University of Florida, good things they do. Check them out. Go to Meldon Law Facebook page and check out their opportunity to win tickets, which you can do if you would like to. They're very generous over there, too, by the way. Meldon Law. All right, let's go back to our producer and see if we're ready to go with Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, I think I'm all ready to go. I'll give it a shot. I don't know. We'll give it a whirl.
All right, Shane, can you stay with us for a minute?
Sure.
All right.
his first year at the school. And the winner this past year was Jamie Chadwell from Liberty. Jamie went 13-1. Hugh Freeze had been there the prior 2 years and went 8-5 both those years, and then he got the Auburn job. So the job Jamie did there was nobody expected it. And then our legend coach was Mark Rick, Georgia. Mark is really a class man. He and his wife were there. And we did mention that between 1987 and 2000, FSU finished in the top 4 in the nation 14 straight years.
Wow.
I know you know that stat, buddy, but a lot of people said, you got to be kidding. No, that's how good they were.
Yeah.
And I mentioned they beat us more than we beat them, but I like to tell people we won the one that counted for the most.
That's for sure, no doubt about that.
The national champ game. But anyway, and then the 2 freshman players. We had 2 freshman players, defensive back, Dylan Thiemann from Purdue. He and his coach were there. And the quarterback was Noah Fafita. I think he's either Hawaiian, got a little Samoan in him, from Arizona. And I was talking to him later, and I said, we had a quarterback here in Florida named Noah, Noah Brandeis. And I told him Noah's story a little bit. He was a walk-on. His nickname was Fat Dog, and he got himself in shape to play. Yeah. And we were in a game. The starter was really struggling, and I put him in, and he went up and down the field for us, and he never lost a start here his whole career.
That's amazing.
So anyway, Noah Brandeis and Noah Fafita.
Yeah, Noah's.
Yeah. So anyway, but everybody seemed to have a good time, and the 2 players. Gosh, they're class young men. They thank the Lord for their talent and ability and their teammates and coaches and everything. So it was, I think, an event that everyone there really enjoyed it.
I got a picture on the screen of you and Mark Rick and Jamie Chadwell. I have 2 comments and get your reactions. Number one is that Rick was a really good football coach. He probably never got really what he deserved for his efforts.
He's going into the College Football Hall of Fame this year.
Right, that's what I was going to say. And he's a class guy. That's the thing about it. We get older, we seem to appreciate the class guys. And
that's right.
It was good to see him there last night. Then Jamie Chadwell's an intriguing figure. He was at Coastal Carolina, 3 years?
I think so. Charleston Southern, and then Coastal, and then he got the Liberty job.
Yeah.
So he's had an outstanding record now. I'm telling you, he's going to get one of the big jobs here real soon.
Yeah. That's my next question to you.
Yeah.
As a guy who labored in the vineyards, people don't realize how old you were when you finally got your chance in Florida. But, at Duke, you had to keep proving yourself. Jamie Chadwell has been an impressive coach for a while, hasn't gotten much recognition until now. This is hypothetical, but is he a guy that, let's just say Billy Napier took a job and left, went someplace else, and you're on the search committee next year or 2 years down the road? Is he a guy you recommend Florida would look at one day?
Oh, gosh. I'm not on the search firm for Florida. But, no, Jamie Chadwell, I think we'll definitely get one of those Power 5 jobs. I don't want to get us involved in it right now. We got to support Billy Napier, and hopefully we can start having winning seasons and bowl wins and top 20 or whatever, top 25, top 10, and see if we can't get back here on that. So, but Jamie, it's interesting, buddy. I didn't realize how much I have in common with Jamie.
Yeah,
Jamie is from East Tennessee.
Is he really?
Near Oak Ridge.
Really?
And he went to East Tennessee State College in Johnson City, Tennessee.
I'll be darned.
And that's where he met his wife. His wife, a lady named Saljaz or something, but she's Iranian. And her family came over, and she grew up in Athens, Tennessee. And I lived in Athens from age 2 to 7.
Yeah.
So we were talking a lot of East Tennessee stuff there. And then Jamie said, Coach, my mom loves watching you coach back in the day, this, that, and the other. He said, it's okay if I FaceTime her and you say hello. I said, sure. So his mom got to be about 85 or so, I guess. But she was just full of life. And I couldn't understand while she was talking. There was a lot of noise, but it was neat talking to Jamie's mom. she was a Gator fan back in the days when we were beating Tennessee a little bit more than they beat us, but we still lost. We lost more to them than I thought we should have. But anyway, it was a fun event, and everyone again seemed to have a good time.
A couple of East Tennessee boys getting it done there. Mm-hmm. That's really good. That's great. Great stuff. Well, I congratulate you on the success of that event. I was talking to Shane Matthews earlier. He told me to show tonight. And,
I got a chance to talk about the 90 team also. Yeah. In fact, this award named after me is because we did well our first year here in Florida, maybe our first year in South Carolina and what have you. And it's we try to admire those coaches that come in and don't say, give me 3 or 4 years. It's going to take a while to get this program going. But, everybody gets 11 players, and you got to try to eliminate all the excuses if you want to be a winner. Yeah. And that's what Jamie Chadwell obviously did at Liberty last year.
When I mentioned the thing about Billy, I didn't mean that negatively. I'm saying, what if he wins a national championship and leaves in 2 years or whatever? I'm just saying down the line, if Florida made a coaching change, I would certainly have a guy on my watch list would be Jamie Chadwell. I loved how his Coastal Carolina teams played, and obviously he's a good coach at Liberty, so he's a bright up-and-comer. He may be, as a matter of fact, Shane Matthews, he kind of reminds me of Coach. He said he got up there and said he was fun. He was kind of had a lot of swagger. And said he was taking shots at FSU. He said, he's my kind of guy, he said.
Jamie Chadwell?
Yeah,
he's a sharp guy, and he's got a track record, and I think he'll get a big-time job pretty soon, I think.
One more quick thing before I talk to you about a personal friend of yours. How are you feeling these days about the way things are rolling in Gainesville? They got their quarterback in school now. Lagway's such an important guy. They seem to have a little uptick in attitude. He's made a couple of changes, including now he has a co-offensive coordinator. How about that? I don't know how that will change things. My guess, he'll still call plays. How are things feeling around there these days? Any progress so far?
Glenn Whitley was there last night.
David Whitley,
sports writer, and I asked him, I said, how come you haven't written anything about Gator football lately? And he said, well, I don't know what to write. Nobody's telling me anything. So anyway, nobody knows much right now. Spring ball is going to start, a week or two? I'm not sure the exact date.
Yeah.
But then we'll get a chance to go out and see what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't even know, is Lagway here now?
He's in school, and he signed up with the collective and all that.
Yeah.
And his statements here he's making are good and impressive. And there's so much riding on this guy right now, All right. Well, there you are, quoting you. And as we're joined by Lauren Shane, I'd say Jamie Chadwell made a mark. Would you say?
Jamie Chadwell? Yeah, he's a sharp guy. Sharp guy.
Yeah. Any final thoughts here on Coach Spurrier's remarks before we go to Lauren and get his take? He was there last night, shining in his Armani suit and his $700 shoes and all that stuff.
No, I just, I'm with Coach. I don't care about any of these hiring these assistants and these off the field. Let's just go play ball. I don't care how hard the damn schedule is. Let's go try to win every game we can. That's all you can do.
You get your best or get my best. Let's go tee it up and see who the best is. That's how I like it too. I'm with you on that. I'm sure Lauren does too, right, Lauren?
Absolutely. Just see what happens, and that's why they play the games. You don't win football games in February. You win them in August, September, October, November. So, right now the speculation is just that, but you got to buckle up and play ball.
All right, Shane, who you got on your show tomorrow morning?
I got JC and I have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel.
That'll be good. He'll have plenty to say. Good reporter. Probably the best out there right now. Well, Shane, thanks for coming on tonight. We missed you last night. Because you and Lauren out there, big dog in it at Spurs, while the rest of us had to stay back here and work. But thanks a lot, Shane, for everything. Appreciate it. We'll listen tomorrow morning, okay?
All right. You guys have a good night.
All right. Well, Coach Meadows, I guess I better tell folks about well, go ahead. Now, let's hear from Lauren first before we take a break. I'll tell you about our sponsors in a minute. Lauren, you were there last night, and we talked to Coach Spurrier about it, and we we were pretty impressed from a long distance. I asked you, I said, "Give me one word to describe what it was like there last night." And you said, "Amazing." Explain that.
Well, I just think, how I am. I'm kind of a football purist, and it was just everything that's right about college football. And, you had two guys from, not so big programs who, basically talked about all the things that are good, being part of a program, being around the teammates, Noah Fafita, if Jed Fish went up to Washington, and, he certainly had offers to go elsewhere, and he chose to stay with his brothers, and that's pretty much what he said. And just being a part of something big. I mean, they hired Coach Brennan, who's going to be the guy there from San Jose State, and they've developed a relationship. And then Dylan Thingman, who comes from a school, Purdue, as a legacy Purdue player. His brothers played at Purdue, and as a freshman, I mean, ungodly stats: 106 tackles, 6 interceptions. I mean, arguably the top safety in the league that year. And I mean, just guys that are playing for the love of the game, and to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And then to hear Coach Spurrier talk about Coach Rick the way that he did, and breaking down not just Coach Rick as a head coach at Georgia, but those Florida State teams that they talked about, those great offenses and things like that when he was there, and never, I think, 10 straight, something that maybe was longer than that, finishing in the top 4 in the country. Yeah. I mean, just unbelievable. And then Jamie Chadwell, just, the relationship, talking about with Coach Spurrier being from East Tennessee, and just his walk from a Division II program to Coastal Carolina, and then taking the job at Liberty. And he and I got to talk for about 30 minutes. Really nice talk, talked a lot of football, and just his admiration for Coach Spurrier and Coach Rick and some of the coaches that have come before him. It just, if you're a football purist, it was definitely, I mean, it was just a great night. And then to see the former players from Riedel Anthony to Travis McGriff to Doring to I mean, just a number of different guys that came back for Coach Spurrier, and just the admiration they have for him. And you can see, just everything. I mean, it just was a good night for football, and I've always enjoyed going to that event. I mean, just to hear some of the stories, and the pride that Coach Spurrier takes in those teams. Shane, my favorite Florida quarterback, the way that Coach Spurrier speaks about him, and kind of jumping this thing off to a legacy of quarterbacks and different players. It's just great with all this grabbing and clawing we got for money and all these other things. You see some guys that truly love the game and all the things that come with it. And we all played football, and we know what kind of man football can make of you, and it just teaches you some life lessons that you just don't get if you don't get out there, buckle it up, and crack skulls. So
that's a great point, and you're right. I saw a video today, Brendan. I sent it to you. Oh, it was on baseball. Mm-hmm. It was a montage of famous baseball movies and the best lines. It was amazing. It's on Twitter. This 5-minute video. It gave me cold chills just to watch it. All these great scenes from all the great movies that we've seen, and from The Natural to all the baseball movies. That was just great. And I thought, if you didn't play the game, you probably wouldn't understand what that means. But if you've ever taken part in a game and seen what it means to people, and how much it just gets you so jacked up to think about playing it, you take that in football, multiply it times 10. And when you have those kind of values and those things, you think about these people played the game because they loved it so much. Even though I understand the economics of the situation, I understand it's fair they get some money. I understand that. But boy, you're right, Lauren. It's so refreshing to get back to some of the things that get back to some values or something besides just the money,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it just is like I said, you got a guy from Purdue who has, he was going to Purdue from the crib. I mean, like I said, his brothers played at Purdue. It wasn't even a question. His relationship with his coach, Troy Walters, who, was a really good player at Colorado. And then, like I said, Noah Fafita, who definitely could have followed Jed Fish to Washington, would have been, tailor-made for the system. Not a guy from Arizona. He's from Huntington Beach, California. Could have maybe went, somewhere in California, but just stuck with it and wanted to stay in Tucson, talked about the people of Tucson and just, everybody in the building that he loves. I mean, he really singled out people, not just coaches, but support staff and things like that. And that's what it's about. It's about those relationships. And it's even me when I go back to Ada, Ohio, and the secretaries and the different people that just made your life easier, going through things. That's what it's about. And I hope that and we all see it going in a different direction, unfortunately. But Brendan and I have had these conversations too. We miss just what football can be and what it used to be. And, who knows what that landscape is.
I mean, look, I think I'm too close to it now because I'm on it all day. First of all, check your mic, by the way. I think you're a little low on your mic setting. Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. You're just quiet tonight. Turn it up, baby. Yeah, I don't know. There's no question, and I think it's sort of like what this guy Mitch Davis, who came in, he's great on the show. This we do in the morning with Joe Brown, SEC Sideline Sports on at 9:00 Eastern. You can check it out. Talking SEC sports every morning. Is that there's no questions. The landscape is beyond changed. It's it's morphed. There's like no going back. Like it's one of those things. Now you've got money. You don't get to take the money back.
Right, and that's what made last night even better. That's what I said. It just
that's what I mean.
For a few hours, it was a return to normalcy and what made us all fall in love with college football.
And that's over.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad you got your moment. It's done.
I think that's why I look forward to it so much every year.
Yeah, well, now it's really done. I mean,
every now and then you just need a little refresher. Like I said, the baseball video, I told my wife today, I know you don't like baseball, but watch this and see if it gives you a tingle. And it did me, and I sent it to Brenda. Brenda, if you get the chance, be sure and watch it. It reminded me of the great Walt Tomoka, who was a mentor of yours and a guy I love baseball. Back to, let me tell you first about Titan MRI. By the way, Kentucky did pull that game against Mississippi State. Titan MRI is now open and serving greater Gainesville and North Central Florida with specialized offerings to you. They're focused on you, the patient, with a great customer service experience. They know most people lead a busy life, and although they have regular business hours, they're available for you to schedule nighttime or weekend appointments if you can't make it during the week. So give them a call at Titan MRI. MRI equipment is modern. MRI unit is one of the largest bores or the openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units. If you ever tried to get in one of those things and you get claustrophobic, you know what I mean. So check them out. Titan MRI, same day service. You can call them up, go up there the same day, and no problem, no insurance, cash your card is welcome. So Titan MRI, one of our fine sponsors here in the Buddy Martin Show. Lauren, you've been whining about changes. Now you got some. We got more today. A couple of coaches lined up. One they lost. I didn't get you to weigh in yet on the changes in the offensive staff.
I ain't been whining for those changes. I told you it wasn't going to happen. So I've been the one telling everybody stop whining. Because
I gave you props the other day, dude. I was like, Lauren Meadows is the one that told me months ago, don't get your hopes up.
But I think what, it's always nice to have another ear in the box. And what I mean by that is if Russ Callaway is truly given, we'll start there, the co-offensive coordinator position. And, I guess Rob Sale is still co-offensive coordinator on paper as well. But,
he's actually the offensive coordinator.
The offense. So the offensive coordinator, then co-offensive coordinator, and then you got Billy Napier, who, like I said, at some time they do some really nice stuff, but it's just like the head scratching decisions sometimes. So, maybe, Russ Callaway allows them to maybe stay on schedule with another voice in Billy's ear when he's calling the plays, or even through the week. Like I've said a million times, I think they get beat Monday through Thursday. So I think there's some game planning and things like that. So
I mean, I guess the big question is, I interrupt you, but I'm sitting here thinking about the title of the show, and I'm like, I haven't really talked a whole lot about the fact, but what are we going to expect in the spring? I mean, do you realize spring football's here? Like, it's here.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen. Orange and blue, whatever you want to call it. Review the game.
No. Spring game is orange and blue game. That review crap is gone.
Yeah,
I understand.
You're gonna see. I mean, you're gonna see some fine tuning. You're gonna see some installing. Hopefully, you see an improved defense. Forget the offense. Like I'm with Shane. The offense is fine. I mean, they got some.
Okay, but think about this. One of the things I was watching on today is like, watching SEC whatever network, and they were talking about, how the first thing that Oklahoma and Texas have outlined that they've got to go do to play in the SEC on a regular basis is get a lot bigger up front and to get, to get an offensive line. And, that was the big knock. And I think suddenly it's not really much of the conversation, because if you're not blocking in the middle, you're not getting anything on the edge. I mean, we saw that all year. And I think that wasn't that not the big issue? I mean, I know we've got new coaches, but like, what are we talking about?
Well,
looking at talent wise, coming in, and is that gotten better? Do you think, Lauren Meadows?
Yeah, I think they've gotten better with with some guys. I mean, the offensive lineman from Oklahoma State, and a couple other guys, and they've got snaps logged with players. But like I said, and I think Jake Slaughter will ultimately be an upgrade from Kingsley, and maybe even some attitude adjustment a little bit, and being able to move some guys around. But offensive line was an issue. I just don't think it was the biggest issue. I mean, we haven't been very good in 3 to 4 years on defense. No, I mean, when you have a think about it, Brendan. Really think about it. If we get four stops, it's a 9-3 football team. That might not be a good 9-3 football team, but 3 or 4 stops, and they probably get 3 or 4 more wins. So, I mean, I just think that when you've been historically bad, and it's gotten progressively worse since Dan Mullen's last year to Billy Napier's first year to last year. I mean, they can't stop running water. And if you don't get off the field, it doesn't matter. I mean, and I'm a person that I think 25 to 30 points a game should win you ball games. And there were times where, I mean, we just couldn't get any. I mean, is Jaden Daniels really that good? Seriously? No. I don't think so. I mean,
no.
And
but it wasn't. But Dad, do you think that's where did you feel the offense was weak at? I know you loved the quarterback play. I know you had very vocal about Graham Mertz. But what do you feel offensively, offensive line? Do you feel like that was that an issue, or it was just like Lauren says, just all about the defense, and offense, could have 4 stops and you have, several wins.
When you're as thin as you are on talent as Florida is, you can't afford to miss those opportunities. And Florida missed opportunities this year, and they couldn't get it done on short yardage situations. Some of the calls were not good. The offensive line struggled late in the year. We were led to believe they were going to be better. They really weren't any better. And there's a lack of talent. And I didn't have a big problem with the play calling. It wasn't fantastic. It was pretty good at times. I think in the end, they got down to the end of the year, they couldn't get anything in the short yardage. They couldn't make a first down, and that hurt them a lot. So, yeah, I think the offensive line was perceived as being pretty good, but it turns out it wasn't very good. The depth wasn't there, and some of the guys they got, by the way, in the transfer portal were failures.
Yeah, I mean, that, they probably, George was probably out of position, but like I said, I think if we go down the list of issues, would you guys put offensive line at the top of the list? I would say it's fourth, because I'd say D line, linebacker, defensive backs, then offensive line. I mean,
but on offense, it was the number one thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well,
you wouldn't throw any coaching in there before that, like that was always my issue was coaching.
well, and that's the thing. Like you and I talked about, we go back to that night. I think it was just a sad situation. You and I eating Raisin Cane's, just looking at each other like, what did we just see? But
we just got ran out of Utah.
Yeah, but I think that, like I said, if you look at the number one issue on offense, yes, it was the offensive line. But the offensive line did not cost this team football games like the defense did. I mean, it just didn't. And I think that's one thing. I think the offensive line will get better. I think Rob Sale is a good football coach, and I think he knows what he's doing. The offensive line was pretty good 2 years ago. It's like people forgot that when they had some talent, he was able to mold it and get it to where it needed to be. So I think that the biggest thing, like if we go back to what's happening in the spring, is the communication and the lack of communication and disconnect has to be rectified on defense. And then, like I said, if you want to turn your attention to the offensive line, then that'll be the case as well. What I will say, and I think what people want to see, and I'll go out on another limb, is I think some people in the background want to see a quarterback controversy or competition of sorts. I do not think you're going to see that. And I'll stand by that as much as I did.
Well, I hear what you're saying, Lauren. Don't mean to interrupt you, but let me just throw this out. This has not been brought up. I don't mean to be making trouble here, but we just assume all is well with DJ Lagway. And apparently he signed up with the NIL people, good to go. So much is put into this future is Lagway. Billy's career hinges on it. And then you got Miles Graham, other guys like that in that class. That class has got to be held together. The fear you have is that when you start the one pebble that starts the avalanche, if they lose some of those early games, the back half of the schedule is just brutal. And then they get down to that same area of 500 football or less. Now the money dries up. Now things start changing. It's such a precarious situation. I'm not bashing Billy. I'm not saying he's not a good coach. He is, but he's got to prove it. And that's the thing, I think, is the proof's going to be in the W's and the L's. And we can sit here all day long and talk about, well, they could be a 7-win team next year, 8-win team. Yeah, they could.
We did that last year.
But the fact, we do it every year. We do it 10 more times. We'll do it again, and probably 10 times when the season starts. But you'll see the same thing in the back half of the schedule. It's murderer's row. There's 5 games that look like they're unwinnable. Now, things do change, but so it's so hard to say right now. They just got to get a taste of the grape. We know what it's like. They don't know what it's like. So let me tell you guys about Renstar Medical Research. We'll come back and finish thoughts on that. I want to tell you the clinical trials are so important. They're important because they bring new therapies to the public safely, and clinical trials would not exist without the commitment of people like you. And Renstar Medical Research wants to invite you to take part in some of these. If you decide to take part, you may receive study-related medications and procedures at no charge to you or your insurance company, gain new access to investigational medications or devices that are not otherwise available, and receive compensation for your time and travel. The research site, Renstar, is dedicated to bringing new opportunities to participate in medical science to our local community. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of
today.
Thank you very much, sir. All right. Well, here we are. I guess we're going to switch over soon to football because it's coming. I don't even know when they start practicing. I know that it'll certainly be a lot much talked about. Of course, as you say, Lauren, we don't get to see much of them, but we'll get interviews and get to talk to people. I'm anxious to see what some of these changes might bring about. I'm a little more optimistic. I'll give you your chances to respond than I was, say, a month or two ago when it sounded like these cries were falling on deaf ears. Looks like Billy has responded. If he's made good decisions, they should be better.
Should be. I would agree. Like someone just pointed out to me through text, I think we also forget that we have been less than stellar on special teams under Billy Napier as well. So I just think that he seems to have some people in place that are going to be able to correct some things. They still have an on the field position that they could feel. So that could be somebody that could come in and make a change. But like someone said, you really just don't know. Like Coach, I was standing there when David Whitley told Coach Spurrier, we just don't have much, and that's the thing. I think things are going to be hush hush pretty much till the spring game. We'll get a little bit, but everybody's positive in the spring. It's the quote, hope springs eternal. It's like everybody's positive during the spring. So we're going to get the same song and dance, how everything's going to be better. I saw that was it Cam Jackson came out and thought that they had a playoff.
I like that. I like that. I want to hear that.
I mean, you could, and I think that, and this is the other thing. When you look at the back half of the schedule, I think we got to be careful of one thing. We've all sat on this show talking about how the SEC, the SEC, the SEC. Well, you're playing the SEC. It is what it is. Coach Spurrier navigated that same type of schedule. Urban Meyer navigated it. Other guys have always navigated arguably the toughest schedule in the country year in, year out. So you got to deal with that. Now, what do you do with it? Do you fix the issues? And that's the main thing. So I think that, the spring will be, everybody will be on pins and needles looking to see what they can find, what they can grab. I would hope that Billy Napier would at least have, maybe an open practice, maybe 2 to kind of light the fans fire. I mean, I'm just trying to help him with a little PR there, but I won't go on a limb and say that. It's just a suggestion. Nobody asked me, but that's kind of where we are, man. I mean, I think some goodwill would go a long way to get us through the summer, but
10 minutes. We get 20 minutes. We get that one day where it's like calisthenics.
All you troublemakers, I'm going to be nice this year. I'm going to try a different approach. All you guys, you always kind of stir it up.
This is the year to be vigilant, buddy. This is the year to really come after them.
I'm going to be nice. I was told by too many people in recent weeks.
So what? What does that ever make you?
I was so negative.
That's not the old Buddy Martin. Whenever I've heard that, that means you hammer down.
I don't know if it helps.
You double down when the haters come. You say, "Okay, great. Well, I'm going to really go after you now."
I will let you and Lauren handle the heavyweight
no,
stuff. Okay.
Hey,
I got enough to deal with.
I just look at it from the way that forget Coach Spurrier and what he did and Urban Meyer. We just talking about basic football. Whoever it is, and you just sometimes, the way, to really, the story last year was that the fact that they couldn't get ready to play on the road. Are you serious? And they start talking about things like when they go to bed and how they, are we serious right now? That's what we've come to. Mm-hmm. And I think that just that stuff's got to go away. They got to buckle up and be ready to play all 12 games. They got to be ready to play football.
I know what I got to do. I got to get some rest. You guys have a good night, Lauren.
That's
Thank
Lauren,
you for your job.
Are you going to write an article on that or probably not? No, you've talked about it all night.
What's that,
Lauren?
On your experience. I'm just saying, go to GatorbaitMedia.com and you can read yourself some Lauren Meadows once in a while. He puts in the blog in between his busy schedule.
He's a busy man. He's got a new job.
Well, I know. He's big time. What are you going to do?
Yeah, no, I'll be back at it for sure.
All right.
Good talk to you, Lauren.
Nice, Coach.
All the best to Mrs.
He's actually a very successful dude.
Yes, he is. He has a new job, too. It's a very good job.
Well, no, I'm just saying he's very successful. Like, people understand. If you don't understand who that is, like, he's pretty baller. So,
yeah, he is. Yeah, he's very popular. So, all right, Brendan, among your many shows you're on every day, of course, with Rob Brown and the gang, and with me at nighttime. Good to have you back on the show, and fun to be here tonight. Thanks.
If I don't do it, then, you guys don't look as good. So, it's my job to make you look sexy.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but anyway, just get us on the air, okay?
Okay. I do a little more than just get you on the air, all right? This has got your little backgrounds and your things, you don't even know. You look great.
Love you, Brendan. I love you.
Good night, Dad.
Good night.
And Dad says goodnight from Panama City. That's where he's hanging out up there. And I'm going to say goodnight to you as well. Thanks to all of our sponsors and guests and everyone showing up. It is truly a pleasure to have you with us. I say goodnight to Lauren Meadows, Buddy Martin, and Shane Matthews. I don't know, Buddy and Shane will be on tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the last show of the week. Is it? No, I'm one ahead. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Sorry. Just kidding. Yeah, and tomorrow's Wednesday, so you're gonna have Ali and you're gonna have David Moulton. So that's gonna be good stuff. So Wednesday, check it out. Hey, check out the morning show. Tomorrow morning, if you're around, we go live 9 a.m. It's on this channel. You don't have to go anywhere else. This channel is expanding to have multiple shows on it. So lots of want to make it one-stop shop to get a lot of information. But we talk SEC sports. Rob Brown and myself, but Rob is the brains behind the whole operation, does a fantastic job. Great guests from all over the SEC. You got to check it out. It's pretty good. That's it for me. I'm Brendan Martin. I may be seen on other shows doing other things, but there's no doubt ever, wherever I am, that I am always 100% a Florida Gator. So I say, go Gators to you all, and to you all, a good night.